It's time now for the political analysis of Fromm and Fuller. Al Fromm, former political advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Craig Fuller, former political advisor to both Presidents Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Good morning, all. Al, we had a second attempt on Donald Trump the other day. I guess I'm a little bit concerned about how Americans are perceiving the Secret Service at this point. This is really important to protect these candidates, and here we are with another failure in security. Do you feel like this could become a campaign issue?
Well, first of all, the attempt on Donald Trump's life is deplorable. I can't really judge the Secret Service. They seem to have responded pretty quickly on this one. But it seems to me pretty clear that the rhetoric of this campaign has provoked a lot of, more violence, and it also seems to be pretty clear that the Secret Service is going to have to figure out ways, particularly with former President Trump, but with Vice President Harris as well, to make sure they're protected. I'm not an expert on the Secret Service. I've always held them in pretty high regard, but clearly their methods have not been absolutely perfect over the last year, at least. But look, Trump is trying to use. Trump and J.D. Vance both are making these arguments that it's the Democratic rhetoric that's causing these assassination attempts, that it's because Democrats say he's a threat to democracy, that people are trying to shoot him. Both Vice President Harris and before her President Biden have said over and over again that they deplore the attempts on his life. And in democracy, we settle our differences at the ballot box, not by bullets. But having said that, the thing that's really bothered me is no one has provoked the violence that we're having in our political culture more in the last decade than Donald Trump. And I think we got to be honest about it. He does it every day, and he simply won't stop. And the thing I just wanted to say very briefly this morning, because it's important, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of our viewers who support Trump who are going to disagree with this. But there's a clear difference between rhetoric that provokes violence and the truth. And when President Biden or Vice President Harris say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, they are telling the truth. The facts back them up. He refuses still to accept the outcome of the 2020 election. He provoked an insurrection, a riot, to prevent and to undermine the peaceful transition of power, which is the most important element of any democracy. And he's promised on his own social media website, to terminate the Constitution if necessary to keep him in power. Look, so those are facts, and you can try to deny them, but they're the truth. But here's rhetoric, and here are actions that actually provoke violence. Telling your rally goers to beat the crap out of anybody who dissents. Hosting a white supremacist Nazi sympathizer for dinner at your home. Traveling with a conspiracy theorist like Laura Loomer, who thinks 9/11 was an inside job. Telling your supporters to act as vigilantes at polling places with the sole purpose of threatening violence to intimidate minority voters. Calling your political adversaries vermin. Pursuing really hateful racist conspiracies like the one he's pursuing now in Springfield, Ohio, where he says that Haitians are eating the pets of the good citizens of Springfield. That's a lie. He knows it's a lie. The governor of the state says it's a lie. The mayor of the city says it's a lie. The woman who apparently posted that her cat was missing, which started all this with the conspiracy theorists, found the cat 2 days later in her basement. The cat's name is Sassy, incidentally, for those who wanted to know. And and still, both the president, former president, and J.D. Vance continue to push this theory. It's caused 33 bomb threats so far, and that was as of last night, so it may be more by now. The kids in Springfield can't go to school because of the violence. The And he won't stop. He knows it's a lie, and he won't stop. That's what provokes violence in the country, and he's been caught maybe in the backlash. Now, and even when he claims that by saying that he's a threat to democracy, the Democrats are provoking these assassination attempts. In the same very sentence, he says he calls Harris Comrade Kamala and says that if she's elected, she'll destroy the country. I mean, look, Trump spends much of his time on the campaign spewing hate and provoking violence, and he wants to claim that he's the victim. Here's the great irony. The only Haitian-born U.S. attorney in America is prosecuting this latest accused assassin. But look, I'm glad Trump is safe. I hope he remains safe. I deplore any attempts on his life. But that doesn't change the reality that, as Liz Cheney says, he should never see the inside of the Oval Office again.
Greg, what's your take of these circumstances and how this might unfold in our presidential campaign?
You know, I too deplore any act of violence in the course of the campaign. I don't disagree with Al. I might be a little less spirited in my comments, but you know, we have for a long time decided that no matter what a candidate says or does, if you're seeking the presidency or serving as president or vice president or any one of a number of other protectees, you're going to get the full protection of the Secret Service. And my respect for the Secret Service is enormous, actually. These are men and women I came to know years ago after, 8 years of service at the White House, who literally wake up every day prepared to give their life for the protectee that they're assigned to. And what they do is phenomenal. I know people are saying, well, they need more resources, they need more individuals. Hiring more people to the Secret Service, today is not going to change the course of the next 50 days. I mean, the people that are providing this protection are highly trained. They drill regularly. My approach when I was chief of staff to Vice President Bush was to become as knowledgeable and as familiar with what they needed to do their job, the Secret Service, as I could. I even trained with them for a while because I wanted to understand exactly what they would do in the face of an emergency. And it is extraordinary. The incidents are few and far between, thankfully, but their preparation is literally daily, and they do it an extraordinary job. I think one of the concerns I have shared many of the ones that Al has, but one of the concerns I have is you can approach the protection that you get as an official, at two extremes, in an adversarial way or in a collaborative way. When I say adversarial, it's the sort of the attitude of, hey, look, you got your job to do. I've got my job to do. I'm going to go where I want to go, do what I want to do, see who I want to see. That's a little bit the way Trump approaches it. He's going to go play golf and he wants to play golf. I want to come back to that issue in a minute, but you if you surprise the people who are there to protect you, it's more difficult for them to provide the protection. We were highly collaborative with Vice President Bush. We wanted to walk through neighborhoods, and one of the first teams we sat down with was the head of our Secret Service detail and his top people to lay out a plan for how we were going to do that. And so what the press saw, what the public saw was the Vice President of the United States walking through a neighborhood, knocking on doors, seeing friendly people or standing in their backyard. Well, that street had been blocked for hours. The Secret Service knew who was in every house. If there was any issue, if all they had to do was say to me, "We have a problem," and we would not stop in that neighborhood, because as the chief of staff, my job was to make sure everybody got home safe every night, especially
Yeah.
the protectee, the vice president. And so it was teamwork throughout. I actually am more concerned in some ways about what happened in Palm Beach in this golf situation. Thankfully, the only shots fired apparently were by the Secret Service agent, which caused the would-be assassin to flee. But here's somebody who somehow knew or presumed that Trump would be playing golf on an event that wasn't scheduled and a stop that wasn't scheduled, and laid out there in the ground for hours without being seen. And thankfully, a very alert agent, spotted the barrel of the gun just in time. But it makes you wonder, why. And the area, by the way, in which this person was laying down was a known vulnerability. In other words, the Secret Service knew that that's where people would go to take pictures of Trump.
Yeah.
And so, one of a surprise stop, I think, probably lended to some of the risk. And usually, if it is unscheduled and spontaneous, that actually helps because people don't have time to prepare. But this fellow was there, they say, since 2 a.m. in the morning. So
Yeah.
things went wrong in that. The agent acted swiftly. They apprehended the individual, so it came to a successful conclusion. But something is wrong. I don't know whether it's the collaboration between campaign staff, official staff, and the Secret Service. I don't really think it's a lack of resources. I think they've got a huge amount of resources. But that's one of the problems. The last thing I say is that it also concerns me that Trump, who first said after the first incident he wasn't going to talk about it anymore, I believe he said that because he was told he should not talk about it. Because talking about it only prompts those people with mental and emotional issues who are inclined to go do these things to go try to do them. And now with two incidents, people who have a predisposition to violence have seen the protective shield broken. And if you keep talking about it, you're going to get more of this. Now Trump's talking about it. And he said the other day in a rally I saw that, by an act of God saved him twice. Well, I think it was the act of the Secret Service, but I appreciate his spiritual interest there. He's using this in the campaign, and he's actively talking about it. And as Al says, now they're trying to blame Democratic rhetoric. This is very dangerous for him, and for Kamala Harris, and for other protectees. And in my view, he ought to stop doing that.
Al, we had some interesting news this week. Our congressman on the Eastern Shore, Andy Harris, has been elected as the chair of the Freedom Caucus. That's a very important position in a Republican-controlled Congress, and I really am eager to hear what both of you think about that.
I try not to think about the Freedom Caucus because it's anything but the Freedom Caucus. It's the disruptive caucus. I mean, it started out as the Tea Party group that was interested in the budget, but now they're not interested in the budget anymore. They're going to shut down the government again, probably if they can. And Trump wants them to do it, so chances are pretty good that we'll go through another government spending crisis. Look, the Freedom Caucus has, in many ways, very much damaged, if not destroyed, the Republican conference in the House. It made it almost impossible for them to elect a speaker last time, and when they did after 15 ballots, they threw him out. Now, I guess they have somebody who's more sympathetic to them as speaker, but even the new speaker, when he has to do something that or completely give up his duties as speaker. I mean, when he has to keep the government going, he's had to go against the Freedom Caucus and seek a bipartisan solution. I don't know very much about Andy Harris. I don't live in that district, thank goodness. But having a guy who tried to walk onto the floor with a gun is not exactly what I think is the kind of leadership that anybody in any major caucus in the United States Congress should have.
Yeah. Craig, you have the last word this week.
Well, I hadn't thought much about Andy Harris. I did see the news that I saw him talking about it. He ran years and years and years ago on the basis that he believed in term limits, that he had only served 2 terms. He's extended that, I think, to, 6 or something. I don't know. He's had very little activity as a legislator doing any legislative work, and he's continued his anesthesiology practice, and maybe now that he's heading the caucus there could be a good thing. I just don't think they're going to see much leadership. We haven't certainly seen it as his constituents, and I think his term of office, as I heard, expires at the end of this year. So it could be short-lived, but I hope he enjoys it while he has the opportunity.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. Al Fromm, Craig Fuller, thank you so much indeed. We will see you next week.